Shalom family, Shamani Laya. Thank you for joining me in Unsectarian Wisdom. And as usual, I am a wise, wealthy, rich, celestial being that is loved by the Most High Creator. Family, do me a favor. After I'm done reading, I'm reading the last chapters of this book today. And then after this, I don't have any more books on these particular lands or on the ice walls right now or anything like that. But I'll be looking out for some more in the future. So, you know, it'll come whenever it comes. So until then, enjoy some other videos. Stay tuned after I'm done finishing these last few chapters, because I want to read some other material for you guys and show you some clips. You know, some UFO stuff, things of that nature, things pertaining to obviously what we're doing right here. I want to show some connections. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump back in. We're gonna finish it up, family. The ship of repentance ones. All right. One day of heavy rain, where not many dared to walk through the great streets of the ancestral republic, an unknown vessel was sighted by the Naval Guard in conjunction with the ISDT Intelligence Service and Detection Technology. For those times, it was not at all common to spot any kind of vessel that seemed to be going aimlessly and practically crashing into our shores. The storm, I think, forced them to stop on their way and find our lands. To our concern, we feared that it could be a strategy of the parasitic races to attack our lands, being survivors that escaped from their yoke and also faced them in a bloody past war. We could not afford to receive unknown ships without asking. We were certainly prepared to attack in case of being some kind of custodial trap. It was a moment of extreme tension of all the personnel there. Several men and women looked out, and we could make out their silhouettes raising their arms under the intense rain of thunder and lightning. Their ship stopped in our port, and they were received by naval officers. A man introduced himself to them, stating that his ship came from the lands of Mars, and that they were children of the human colony that escaped with uncertain destiny, but that they were tired of the conflicts with other races that were being unleashed there. After rigorous examinations and being received by the President of the Republic and the members of defense along with other leaders, it was possible to obtain much information that had been previously ascertained with the trip of Captain Rold. Also, their versions reported that the captain had been killed in cold blood, as they had been aware as soon as they landed on their shores, and a planned attack was carried out to kill the entire group, but that the team responded with technology they had not seen before and were able to retreat. Other stories were also shared by the group before departing again with uncertain destination, or perhaps for safety's sake they did not want to say. The lands of Mars are a living paradise that could have had another destination, a magnificent future of peace and harmony. Its flora and fauna are unique and keep the most intrinsic mysteries of nature. Surely we will have more stories of those distant lands that must be rescued from the same dirty hands that got in the way of destiny of many of the races, as well as the circle environment of the 178 worlds under this great dome. The portal hidden on Mars. There is a portal that was shown to the first humans who set foot on the lands of Mars, at least humans of the past reset. The portal was old and had ceased to be used, but nevertheless they believed it was still dangerous to manipulate it. For that reason, it was shown to humans as a learning to stay away from the forces that surround it. In fact, if humans were kept at a relatively close distance, it generated several health problems, exhaustion, dizziness, and other symptoms that also forced them to stay away from it. But according to the writings of the custodians, this distance was not always respected, and the following happened. The following writing was incorporated into our history files and modified for your understanding. Some parts are verbatim, but the complete file is stored separately. There are thousands of interconnecting portals that transfer matter from one side to the other, but many of them are old and obsolete. Unfortunately, it is common for some beings to find them and try to use them and end up in the worst way. There are reported cases of beings that have disappeared or were even found in distant continents with great health problems, or where they are no longer the same. The dark membrane information behind the Great Dome. Oh, did I read this part? In the year of the reorganization of some colonies, in the 7th period of the first land membrane, ARB 204, Mars lands, the natives of the colony's second membrane, ARB 201, known lands of the 6th period, and others from the lands themselves penetrated the forbidden forest on the shores of Samaria, breaking the first treaty carried out by the leaders as a whole. While the P-88 portal gate had been discontinued for the reasons explained above, referring to the disappearance of personnel between matter transfer, finding no reference point, losing all communication with whereabouts unknown to date. Human beings vs. Tim cells were found in cities of ARB 013, Anunnaki lands, wandering in a neutralized form, robotic, aimless, mechanized. The same were detained outside the temple in Ubaid, and their subsequent transfer for investigation. It was observed HOS, high oxidative stress, that derived 2 other degenerative processes in vital organs. Their material was kept for the process of exhaustive studies, since this could somehow give us an answer about the missing personnel in previous transfer processes. We also put on record the contribution requested to the H1 Orion race, Greys, that have the important genetic material of humans of the 5th and 6th generations of the same periods, in order to be able to establish fundamental parameters in their study. The result of the whereabouts of our personnel in conjunction with the Anunnaki race is still unknown, and we have not detected differential matter inside the Great Dome, nor in the surrounding areas of the dark membrane, possible lands outside the Great Dome. We will continue to add to this form all information relevant to the personnel and equipment lost in transfers, as well as what occupies the dark membrane, which can clarify and understand the communications that have been carried out in various processes of research and exploration in the surrounding areas. We have found several references to the dark membrane in all the information gathered by the trustees of what can be found in a possible crossing of the Great Dome. We will be adding relevant information about this in the following chapters. Okay, yeah, that's it, family. That's the end of the Lands of Mars, 178. Notes. It sounds like in this chapter we're talking about the portal, the hidden portals of Mars, right? So once again, to me, a good reference for this sounds like, go back to the show Stargate SG-1, Stargate Universe, Stargate Atlantis. They use a device to travel in between worlds, or planets, whatever you want to call it, and it's called a Stargate. It's a circle, and it opens up an event, and it opens up a event horizon that connects another Stargate across the galaxy on another planet, you know, and it connects a Stargate. it connects to a wormhole from both planets, right? So you activate the Stargate, event horizon forms, creating a stabilized wormhole. For instance, let's say connecting a Stargate from Earth with a Stargate on Mars. So basically, that's the premise of a Stargate. Also, personally, another way, because personally, I was actually thinking that the like for instance, Bird Passage. I was thinking that maybe that was a Stargate, but maybe they have. Well, I can see them have different forms of transportation because I mean, there are more than one different forms of transportation. So far, we have the water gates, you know, the ice wall passages. It sounds like a Stargate, so I said watch the show Stargate SG-1. But also, family, do research on a subject called Ley Lines. Ley Lines is another word, in my opinion, from my studies. Ley Lines is just another word for Stargates, wormholes. Ley Lines are like transportation portals that travel along our plane of existence. So I guess, for instance, let's say if you wanted to travel from New York State to Paris, France, if you knew the right ley line and you knew the correct location, you should be able to, you know, enter a portal that will transport you instantly or within seconds from New York State all the way to Paris, France, if you knew where the portal was. So this is just how these ley lines are supposed to work. I don't know where they are. They say they're usually on like holy sites. Like a lot of old Catholic churches are built on ley lines. The pyramids are on top of ley lines. So just keep that. Oh, remember I told you the pyramids in the last video? Pyramids are way stations. You know, refueling stations for Merkaba ships, drop-off points, pickups points for passengers. It's a data station, power plant, but all that too, remember, and all that is, and the pyramids utilize the ley lines as well to, you know, carry their energy from one pyramid to another pyramid, from, let's say, the pyramids in Egypt to the pyramids in Mexico. You know, they're all on ley lines, family. Look it up. Do your research. Matter of fact, once again, if we, man, was it? Did I really not touch it? Okay. Remember, I do readings on the book of Keys of Enoch, right? This page right here. You see here at the bottom, these are ley lines. These are transportation hubs. Points where you're supposed to be, where there's supposed to be UFO activity, spiritual activity, place to be picked up by the aliens, things of that nature. I'm telling you, family, get into my other readings, man. Hold on, I want to show you guys a video clip. This man, this is a let's go ahead and watch it. This is a Billy Carson channel, and this is between a guy named Roger Martin. He does a lot of research on paranormal and UFO stuff, and he's speaking with a former Army officer / clergy member. He was a bishop. So we'll go ahead and listen to a few minutes of fair use, to a few minutes of this, and let's go ahead.
Chapter 6, verse 1 through 6 says, giants in the land. What I want you to see, if you could, tell me about that if you were preaching it in the past as a bishop, right? Now, I'm sure it has a whole different meaning or truth meaning to it. So give us a little bit of both real quickly. The bishop sermon at the time and what some of us is being told about that particular scripture in church. Well, what we're not being told is what you know now.
Well, in a pulpit, I probably wouldn't preach that, sir. I wouldn't preach that scripture.
Oh, because you would have you already sensed something different in that.
Yeah, because you can't explain it.
And shouldn't that be? I know you can't speak for other bishops and pastors, but wouldn't this be a running story? among the clergy?
Would it be a running story?
In other words, would this be one of those things that everybody say, hey, make sure y'all, this is something we're going to skip? Because nobody talks about it, nobody brings it up, and it just don't come up, but everybody who knows not to talk about it, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is difficult. And just in context, I'll just read so the viewers know exactly what the pieces of that represent a challenge to theology. But it's Genesis chapter 6, and this talks about the flood here, where I'm going with it. And in chapter 6, verse 4, it said that there were giants in those days, and also after. This is about the flood. So there were giants in the earth on those days, and also after. Then the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they had their children to them. The same became mighty men, which were, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm struggling, which were old men of renown. So here we have a passage of scriptures. It says that there were giants in those days, both before and after the flood. So if you accept the premise, and if everything that you said that the Bible is absolutely true, and the unerring word of God, then okay, then there were giants in the land. And it says not only that they were before the flood, because some people would say, well, yeah, they were here and they were the Nephilim, but the flood wiped them out. But the scripture says no, before and after the flood. And there's nothing that says that they're still not here, theoretically. Or even Yep. And then it says that they were men of renown. And they looked upon the daughters of men, we go on to learn, and took whom they chose. And so who were these people? And who were the giants? And where's the fossil evidence? Where's the references to these giants throughout the Bible? And there's a lot of scriptures that point to these giants. When Moses went over after the children had their 40 years through in the wilderness, and then they were allowed to go and take possession of the promised land, that they found the land that they were promised. And so Moses sent some of his chief apostles or disciples to go and spy over into this new land. And it says in the scriptures that they looked and they came back with a terrifying report. They said that, they was kind of shaken, because he says, we are to them as grasshoppers. So the giants were still here. And these guys, they were intimidated. So again, you start digging a little bit further and you want to, okay, how you going to preach that sermon, Bishop? He said, I'll pass it. That falls into the too tough to handle category unless you can be open-minded enough. And now you got to go outside the confines of the Bible and scriptures. But there are plenty of other sacred texts that support, give you a firm foundation that you can speak from. But if you were kind of like me, where it's like, if it's not my Bible, I don't need to know, then you kind of stay in this category of this type of spiritual arrogance and spiritual ignorance.
Right.
The answers are there, but you just got to, number one, acknowledge that everything actually is not in those 66 books, and that the Council of Nicaea were just imperfect men, and that they just took texts that were in circulation for thousands of years. It doesn't discredit any of them. Maybe some of them were apocryphal, but they must have had thousands of documents that when they ransacked the library in Alexandria, the greatest library at the time. Okay, where did those books and texts go? They still couldn't run. So some of those are in here, and then some of them are out there in these other texts. Both of them are just as valid and good. But the Council of Nicaea just kind of narrowed it down, says, no, these are the 66, the only one that King James wants. But they're just as good about it.
Do you still go by Bishop today?
I was told that.
I got some scriptures. I wanted to show you guys this too, family, just because I thought he had some good points. And remember, as we've been going through these books talking about Terra-Infinita, we've talked a lot about the Anakim race, the giants that have been that apparently have been helping our ancestors and trying to help with our current situation. But I want to go to the Bible, and I want to read some. And I want to read from 3 different Bibles. I'm going to read an interesting verse to you. So I'm going to the book of Isaiah. I'm reading this first out of my Touchpoint Bible. And this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, and verse 8. And this is out of the Bible. Let's see. And what do I... Okay, this is chapter 60, verse 8. And what do I see? Flying like clouds to Israel, like doves to their nest. They are the ships of Tarshish, reserved to bring the people of Israel home. The ships of Tarshish. All right, here's the King James. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 8 again. Who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows? Just saying. Surely the isle shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them. Just saying, family. Once again, there's that word flying. A ship flying. And this is from the Bible. Remember, they didn't have technology to fly. So what is this about flying ships? And some of you could be like, oh, they talking about flying against water. But it didn't say anything about flying above the water or anything. It didn't say anything about flying on the water. Just saying. Don't put words in their mouth. You assume, but you don't know. Once again, let's go. This is my Sefer. This is supposed to be the most, what's it called, up-to-date translation in English. This is why I got this one. That's so once again, Isaiah chapter 60, verse 8. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first to bring your sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahuwah Elokai. Hold on, let me read it again, family. But I'm going to read more of this. Look, okay, I'm gonna read from chapter 60, starting from verse 4. Look and see, for everyone is coming home. Your sons are coming from distant lands. Your little daughters will be carried home. Your eyes will shine, and your hearts will thrill with joy. For the merchants from around the world will come to you. They will bring you the wealth of many lands. Vast caravans of camels will converge on you. The camels of Midian and Eph. From Sheba they will bring gold and incense for the worship of the Lord. The flocks of Kedar will be given to you, and the rams of Naboth will be brought for my altars. In that day I will make my temple glorious. And what do I see flying like clouds to Israel, like doves to their nests? They are the ships of Tarshish, reserved to bring the people of Israel home. Family, look. Just saying. Like, for instance, and you can be like also too, oh, were they talking about this specific place during this time back in the day? This comes back to earlier conversations I've had before with you guys, family, if you watch my other videos. When you're reading the Bible, it's like it is alive. It changes meaning. From let's say you read it when you were 10. It's going to mean something different from when you were 10 to when you're 22 years old. You know what I'm saying? Then there's also the meaning on top, the ink, the black and white meaning, like it says, thou shalt not kill. Yes, but then there's a spiritual meaning. Why shouldn't you kill? You know, there's an underlining understanding to that. Read in between the lines. It's not just what you see with your eyes, but there's a spiritual meaning. There's more to it. So, like for instance, take Babylon, right? I guess if you want to go ahead and try to take it from a historical point of view, they might say that's the ancient cities of Samaria back in the day. But Babylon isn't necessarily, family, hold on, my bad. Okay. Babylon isn't necessarily that ancient city. Babylon is a spirit. Babylon is a way of life. New York City is a modern day Babylon. Los Angeles is a modern day Babylon. Seattle, you know, San Diego, Houston, Dallas, these are all modern day Babylons, family. So just keep that in mind. you know, this once again, the Bible is very symbolic. It's got a lot of what else? Anyway, let's keep going. I want to show you guys the next video real quick. Just some information going along with this. Just follow me. I know I'll be all over the place all the time, family, but just take, you know, take these little jewels, you know, these little nuggets. Hold on. That I'm throwing out, you know. All right.
You give Christians who are struggling with the doubt of...
Man, my bad, family. Computer acting crazy. Okay.
Man, so let me ask you this then. What advice would you give Christians who are struggling with the doubt of the existence of aliens, period?
What would I say to Christians that are struggling with the doubt of aliens? You know, whether they be Christian, even agnostic, or even atheist.
Any religious person. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm saying that you probably are not very well informed. You're probably under some form of cognitive dissonance if you're not really looking, particularly today, at what's going on. When you've got the first UFO Congress that's been held in 50 years, and the government's saying that there's things out there that we don't understand and we don't own them. When you have Phil Corso's book in The Day After Roswell, you know, for people that still don't believe that happened, but Phil Corso, he worked for, you know, the White House, Colonel Phil Corso. And then if you're reading his book, and he just tells you how they took technologies that were recovered from those crashed saucers, and how he farmed those into certain industries, is where we got night vision goggles and where we got microchips, things that we had never seen before. You know, unless you're going to say that Phil Corso just made it up, nothing better for a retired lieutenant colonel, heavily decorated, to do it and then start making up stories. So I think that I would, and I know people like that. I've got some in my family, you know.
Well, I know a lot of, I have a lot of friends and people that, same. Yeah. And I don't have enough weaponry, or I just try to give them that curiosity, you know, and a few things that I know outside. I'm an investigator, UFO investigator for MUFON, but still, you know. But again, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's ample evidence out there to at least suggest that there's a lot more to the story of humanity and humankind than we are aware of. You know, and although maybe we don't have all of the answers, I like, again, from a comedic standpoint, you know, they refer to this as the existence. And I don't know if these are quote-unquote aliens. I don't know if they're ancient astronauts, as maybe Giorgio would say, with the ancient astronaut theory. I'm now even entertaining the thought, you know, as we are understanding more about quantum physics, trans physics, that maybe these are interdimensional phenomena,
right?
As well as extra-dimensional, interdimensional, or extra-dimensional. We don't know, but there's so much we're just learning. I mean, we just had the CERN Hadron Collider do another experiment, and we're discovering new atoms, new molecules, new learning about black holes and quarks, things we never knew before. And so I think that there are dimensions that we certainly don't understand. And so it doesn't have to be an alien traveling from someplace else, or it could be all of the above. You know,
All right, family, I got something else I want to read from you. I want to read from this book right here, the sealed portion. It's not a long reading, a few paragraphs. I'm reading from chapter 2, and the summary of this chapter is: Moroni begins the record of the brother of Jared. The brother of Jared is shown the spirit body of Jesus in the kingdoms of the Father, and also the kingdom where the spirits of the children of men were created and raised by their eternal mothers. Alright, so just follow me for a second, family. And go ahead and read this. And now I, Moroni, will proceed with the account of the brother of Jared, which translation was given unto me by the gift and power of God through the Urim and Thummim, which being interpreted is light and perfection. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared was carried away by the Spirit of the Lord upon the mount called Shalem. And after, I'm guessing that's, Lord upon the mount called Shalem. And after he had beheld the spirit body of Jesus, the brother of Jared marveled exceedingly that his mortal eyes could perceive such things. And it came to pass that the Lord perceived the thoughts of the brother of Jared, and said unto him, marvel not that this thing have come to pass. For behold, thou canst not see spiritual things with mortal eyes. Nevertheless, I have caused a change to come over thy mortal body, that thou might behold my work, and my glory, which is the work and glory of my Father, whom I serve. And it came to pass that the eyes of his understanding were opened, and the brother of Jared beheld, as it were, many worlds and kingdoms without end. And he marveled exceedingly, and exclaimed, yea, his entire soul being filled with the Spirit of God, O great God, Lord of all, yea, even the Father of all things in the heavens, and all those things which are upon the earth. What are these worlds which appear to men as the stars in the night sky? And it came to pass that the Lord answered him, saying, all these are the kingdoms of my Father, and also the kingdoms of his fathers before him. For behold, the world upon which thou standest is a creation of my Father, who is the Father of my spirit, and also the Father of thy spirit. Behold, our Father hath created many such worlds, and the numbers of his creations are numberless. Nevertheless, he knoweth them, and they are his. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared was taken, as it were, to one of the worlds which he beheld. And this world was like unto the worlds in which we live. Yea, there were many strange and marvelous buildings, the construction of which he had never before beheld. And even I, Moroni, am forbidden to describe the exactness of their form and the glory of their architecture. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared was overcome by the strangeness of these things, insomuch that he inquired of the Lord as to the meaning of the things which he beheld. And the Lord answered him, saying, behold, this is the kingdom and the glory of our Father. It was on this world that our Father begat his posterity, even the spirits of all the children of men which live upon the world on which thou standest. And this was once a world like unto the world on which thou livest, and is where our Father learned the mysteries and responsibilities of Godhood. And behold, it is upon this same world where the members of the spirits of all the children of God reside with the Father. All right, I wanted to read that. Now, hold on, family. So I wanted to read you guys that. I don't even think I need to explain to you why I wanted to read that to you. So I think that should explain it, but just bear with me for a minute. I got another one for you. This one ain't long either. All right, so this is also from the same book, the sealed portion. And I'm reading from chapter 28. And the summary of this chapter is, the power of Satan reveals to the human race the technological advances that can cause their destruction. The cause of the rise of the Hebrew nation is explained. Moroni explains some of the symbolism of revelation concerning time and times and half a time. Satan's ability to deceive the human race with technology and scientific advances is touched upon. The prophet Zarathustra is introduced. That's what I'm reading about, the prophet Zarathustra. Because what I'm reading, family, right now is what I'm using to basically back me up when I keep trying to tell you guys that all these so-called, different religions, it's the same thing. They all come from the same source. But unless you open your mind, unless you take the time to study and research these things, you'll be blind to it. You're going to continue to have that veil over your eyes, and you continue to be given pastors and all other type of religious leaders from other religious cults, whatever, all your money and all your time, sitting here thinking these people going to keep you out of so-called hell because you won't take the time to do the studying yourself. You know what I'm saying, family? Like, that's crazy. We take all the time in the world to put into a degree, to get this house, to do this and do that. But remember, family, you can't run from death. One day, you're going to croak. You can't get away from it. And we don't take no time, for the most part, for most of us, to even try to better ourselves. But let me go ahead and read this, because it's going to make a point. And they called their son Zarathustra, and they called their son Zarathustra, which being interpreted means golden camel, after the vision that his mother had in her youth. And it came to pass that Zarathustra spent the days of his childhood in the house of the blind man. But as the days went on according to the days of Zarathustra, even unto the days of his youth, the blind man began to receive his sight. And he looked upon Zarathustra and thanked the gods for that which had been done unto him. But Dudova rebuked the man and explained unto him, instructing him that he would not teach her son concerning the gods of her fathers, which gods were of the priest that had cast them out of the city. And it came to pass that Zarathustra grew, and he was wrought upon by the ministrations of the spirit world, and taught those things that he would one day teach unto the people. And when the days of the pinnacle of his manhood was reached, the Lord sent an angel unto Zarathustra, and gave unto him the laws of the gospel, and taught unto him all those things that had been corrupted among the children of men. And the Lord called Zarathustra to be a prophet, and preached the things that he had learned from the angel, and also those things that he had learned from the ministrations of the Spirit in his youth. And he was taught the plan of God, who was called Ahura Mazda, according to the language and the customs of the people. And he also knew of the plan of Lucifer, who was called Ariman, according to the words of the people. And now I, Moroni, would that ye should realize, even those who have received these things, that the Father have allowed his prophets to teach his gospel unto all of his children in their own tongue, and according to their customs and traditions, as I have previously explained it unto you in this record. And Ahura Mazda shall be known in the world as the God of Zarathustra, a prophet of God. But this Amma Mazda is the father of whom I have spoken of in this record. But this Ahura Mazda is the father of whom I have spoken of in this record. Thus can ye see that the names which the children of men give unto him are of little importance to our Father. For the words of Zarathustra were given in their purity to the children of men in the beginning, and he became a prophet to his people, and there were many that followed after his teaching. And it came to pass that he taught the gospel to one of the great kings who was among the people. And this king accepted the teachings of Zarathustra, and caused them to be taught throughout the land. Nevertheless, the king would not allow those teachings of Zarathustra to be taught, which would usurp his authority among the people, or in other words, the things that would take away from his own divinity. And Zarathustra taught in the court of the king for many years, but after a time he went back among the people and began to preach the gospel unto them. And because of his teachings to the king, the people who were of the nation of the great Persian Empire, which had risen to power after the Babylonian Empire, were ruled with justice. Nevertheless, they were not given a voice in their own government, as Zarathustra had taught was the will and commandment of Ahura Mazda. But the people were allowed to think for themselves and act according to the dictates of their own conscience, as long as they did not violate the law and mandate of the king. And because many of them did begin to think for themselves, the Holy Ghost was able to communicate with them, and thus began the ministrations of the spirit world to the children of men once again. And once again, for me, family, I wanted to read this particular chapter and these paragraphs to you guys, family, to show that when I'm always trying to make the comparison between like Buddhist texts, texts in the Quran, the Bible, the keys of Enoch, these lands that I'm reading on the dome, I'm trying to show you the connection between all of them, family. And like basically what this book was saying is like what I've noticed in my studies, family. Even if you go back to Egyptology, if you take the time to study these different religions, you know, these different belief systems, and you know, take the time to get you know, in a way, get to know them, right? Like I said, you'll start to see the similarities between all these religions. you'll start to understand that the characters in Egyptology are the same characters in the Christian religion. You know what I'm saying? The same characters in the Buddhist text are the same characters in Christian, in the same characters in the Bible, the same characters in the Quran. I mean, in a matter of speaking, as far as how they carry themselves, as far as how the words are spoken. So at the end of the day, if someone comes up to you and asks you, what God do you serve? And their God's name might be like, you know, Big Mo. But at the end of the day, if you sit down and listen to these people as they explain their God Big Mo to you, and if Big Mo turns out saying, you know, love God with all your heart and do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, is that not the same thing as the Bible? So that's basically what Zoroaster, let me say it again, my bad. Zoroaster, whatever. Basically, that's basically what that was explaining. And I wanted to point that out to you guys. Once again, to, you know, show you that there is connections. I'm not just pulling this stuff out of my butt, family. I know what I'm talking about. What else? I think that's it as far as the reading is concerned. I think I'm done with the reading. Yeah. So I got a few more videos I want to show you real quick. And then I'm going to let y'all go, okay? Don't get mad at me. I just want to show y'all a few more things, alright? Apparently this was posted like today. It's supposed to be a UFO, maybe. Alright, family. I'll catch y'all later. I'm going to let it finish off with this. Be blessed, family.
Videos recorded by U.S. Navy personnel have added a new layer of evidence to the current national debate about UFOs. For the first time, radar images recorded inside a Navy ship have confirmed the presence of several unknown objects that swarmed around the ship for hours. I-Team reporter George Knapp here with a story that broke today on Mystery Wire.
Thanks, Brian. Over the past 3 years or so, the public has been able to see several astounding images of what certainly qualify as UFOs during encounters with the U.S. Navy. There's no question that the Pentagon has censored data to go along with the photos and videos, but none of that information has been leaked or otherwise released, that is, until today.
For 2 long hours on the night of July 15, 2019, the crew of the USS Omaha detected on multiple sensor systems unknown objects that surrounded the ship as it moved through ocean waters west of San Diego. One of the objects, a self-illuminated sphere at least 6 feet in diameter, flew alongside the Omaha for an extended period and was observed through a thermal sensor in the ship's combat center. Filmmaker Jeremy Corbell released the Navy video weeks ago and says similar events were reported by 8 other Navy ships in the same area over 3 days.
Mark, bearing and range.
There was numerous warships that are having similar it appears to be coordinated interaction, And this whole series was within this kind of, I'd say, circumference of 100 miles, and there was up to 50 to 100 contacts.
In the last 3 years, the Pentagon has reluctantly confirmed the legitimacy of UFO images captured by Navy ships and air crews, including these photos taken off the coast of Virginia and the better-known videos, the so-called Tic Tac incident and the gimbal. But other than the images themselves, there's been no release of sensor data to buttress these cases. There is now.
Well, if you can write a general lat long where we're at, and the number of contacts you got, the course of speed meters on.
Over a period of hours, crew members on the USS Omaha, which is located in the center of this radar screen, monitored the approach of the unknown objects, as many as 14 at one point, all around the ship. 2 different radar systems watched the objects and estimated their speed.
Track 781 just sped up to 46 knots, 50 knots, closing in. 38 knots.
That must pretty much perfectly 000 relative, right?
Yeah.
Corbell obtained the images from sources he declines to identify. The Pentagon's UAP task force considers the Omaha spheres to be true unknowns. The ships that were under observation by the unknowns were unable to track where they came from or where they disappeared to. The Omaha sphere appears to have vanished into the ocean.
Splashed.
At that point, it also vanished from all sensors. In one video snippet, 9 of the objects were seen around the Omaha, but 2 of them dropped off, somehow invisible to 2 radar systems.
And it supports the hypothesis that these are not just a balloon dropping into the water, or it's not something that is easily explained. These are true, unidentified. In mass number, and we'll talk more about that, but that's what we're showing people, where you have radar data that goes with FLIR data, what everybody has been belly aching for. So here you go.
If these are foreign-made high-tech drones, how do they fly with no wings, rotors, or detectable exhaust? Do they possess some sort of cloaking ability? The sensor data, combined with the video images, raises difficult questions.
These are unidentified. We don't know what they are. Everybody tries to corner me in saying they're aliens or something like this. I have no idea.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.